Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar series, Situational Social Security. We are joined today by Marc Kiner, CPA. Marc is currently part owner and president with Premier Social Security Consulting. Marc is also a certified instructor for the National Social Security Advisor Certificate Program. Marc created and developed the National Social Security Advisor Certificate Program with his partner, Jim. We're also joined by Jim Blair, who is currently part owner and Social Security consultant with Premier Social Security Consulting. Jim is also a certified instructor for the National Social Security Advisor Certificate Program. Jim retired after 35 years with the Social Security Administration. Please submit your questions via the Q&A feature within the Zoom controls at the bottom of your screen. And with that, I will turn it over to Marc to begin. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I'm Marc Kiner in my darkened studio in Cincinnati, Ohio. We're expecting some pretty dangerous rains, and I have no sunshine outside. I'm waiting for my new ceiling fan, but it's been delayed a month. So this is what I get. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us. I am Marc Kiner. Our office is in Cincinnati, Ohio, joined by my partner, Jim Blair. Hello, Jim.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, Jim, you worked for the Social Security Administration for 35 years, right?
I did.
What were your responsibilities and duties?
Well, it started off with a number of things. My very first job, hired in as a service representative. That's that smiling face you see when you walk in the front door. They man the front desk, generally help people who have already applied for Social Security benefits, but are having an issue. Maybe they're missing a check, they're overpaid, all sorts of things. Moved into the claims taking part of it, and I took claims for retirement, survivors, disability, and health insurance benefits for about 10 years. Moved into the management end of it, and I did a number of jobs there. Spent the last 9 years of my career as the district manager of the Piqua, Ohio office. Now, nobody ever knows where Piqua is. And it's a small little rural community about 30 miles north of Dayton, Ohio. With that, the point with there being, regardless of where you are, there's probably a Social Security office fairly close. It's the most accessible government office out there anyway. So if you need to visit the local Social Security office, it's not too bad. It is accessible to just about everybody.
I'm laughing, Jim, because this is probably the only webinar that the Georgia FPA chapters put on where I'm being eclipsed by the moon.
Yeah, it sure looks that way.
Before you know it, you may not see me anymore, but we'll see how things go. So Jim and I began our company in 2010. Our focus at that point was to help folks across the country to understand and maximize their benefits. We evolved into an education company in 2013 when we created the National Social Security Advisor Certificate Program. After a day of training, advisors will take a test. After they pass the test, they earn our certificate. This disclaimer basically says we are not associated with any government agency, and we're not perfect. So if you see something in the PowerPoint that if we make a mistake, or you see something in the PowerPoint that might be incorrect, just remember we take every step we can to make sure everything is accurate. But from time to time, we make a mistake. At least I do. I don't think Jim would admit to a mistake.
Well, I thought I made a mistake once, and I admitted to it. Although I found out later I was right. So
these pictures were taken over a decade ago. Marketing director continues to tell me I need to change the pictures, but we're not looking for dates. Anyway, I am an inactive CPA. I don't do any taxes or accounting. We don't sell any investments or insurance. So we're going to focus this webinar on situational Social Security. That basically means that every one of your clients, there are 76 or so million baby boomers out there, and they all have their own unique issues and strategies that you need to consider in advising them as to when to take their Social Security benefits. We're going to talk about these different situations to a little bit of an extent now, and as time goes on, as time permits, We'll talk about these situations in more details over the next hour or so. I can tell you one thing. If you meet with 10 married couples, and each married couple will have a different set of claiming strategies available to them. It's just not one size fits all. So Jim Blair, he will discuss the first 5, and then I'll go ahead and discuss the next 4. Go for it, Jim.
Sure. Single folks, they have options available to them. It may not be as many as a married couple, but they're still looking at when they want to start their benefit. What is the best way to maximize the benefit for the single individual? Do they file at 62? Maybe wait till full retirement age, or even wait till age 70. They have that option as well. And there's many things that they're going to look at. And it's actually the same thing everybody else is looking at. Their health, their life expectancy. When are they still working? Do they need the money? That kind of thing. So they are going to look at those sorts of things before they decide when to pull the trigger. Now, married folks do have more options because we're looking at each individual in the marriage. When do they take their benefits? So we're going to consider the ages of the couple. Are they close in age? Are they far apart in age? That makes a difference. What are the work histories of the two? Is one a high earner? The other one didn't go to work. They stayed home and took care of the kids. Or maybe they're both high earners. All of that's going to factor in as to when we're looking for them to take their Social Security benefits. We have public employees. In Ohio, 97% of our state, local, and county employees don't pay into Social Security. They have what we call a non-covered pension. And that's true throughout the United States. And even if the state you're in, your state employees pay into Social Security, you could run into some federal employees under the old civil service program that have the non-covered pension. Well, what is that going to mean to their own retirement from Social Security? What is it going to mean if they're eligible as a spouse or a surviving spouse? All of that's going to factor in. We have to look and see what kind of an effect that's going to do to their benefit. Now, something that we're going to talk about for about another 9 to 10 more months is the restricted application. And the reason we're only going to talk about it through the end of this year is because after that, it's gone. But if you have clients that were born by the magic date, January 1st, 1954, those folks, anybody born on that day or earlier, can still have the ability to file what's called a restricted application. And we'll go into more detail on that in just a few minutes. But it's a great strategy for those folks. And while, yes, it's going away, and right now very few people are eligible, those who are eligible need to look at it and take that into consideration before they file for benefits. Of course, if someone has a minor child, a child between the ages of 18 and 19, if they're still in high school, or I think what we run into maybe more often than the other is they have a child who became disabled before the age of 22. When the parent files for benefits, that child is going to be eligible for a benefit as well, as long as they're disabled before the age of 22 or the minor child. And that's going to determine, in a lot of cases, or when the individual is going to file for benefits. That at least factors into it. It may not be the only determination, but it's certainly a factor. And so how important is that going to be? Everybody knows that children can, I think everybody knows it can draw off of a deceased parent, but not everybody realizes they could draw off of a parent who just is receiving retirement or disability. So a lot of different factors there.
As a matter of fact, folks, I turned my camera off because I think it was a little too distracting with the with how dark my picture was. As a matter of fact, I'm single, so let me tell you a little bit about my own personal situation. I'm single. I was born in 1956. That means my full retirement age is 66 and 4 months, which was June of 2022. I decided to begin my benefits in June of 2022 because nobody's going to collect off me when I'm gone fishing for the final time. And so I filed for benefits to be effective in June. My first benefit payment was in July. So single folks, probably the biggest strategy, the biggest leg on a three-legged stool for a single individual is death ends benefits. So I decided to climb my benefits in my full retirement age. Let's go down to number 6. You may be working with ex-spouses. If you have an ex-spouse that was married to their ex for at least 10 years, they have an opportunity to collect a benefit off that ex-spouse. If they have more than one ex-spouse that they were married to for at least 10 years, there might be an opportunity to switch from benefits from one ex-spouse over to another. And we'll talk about that more, hopefully, as the hour goes by. You may be dealing with surviving spouses. So as long as your spouse was, or as long as your current spouse, you were married to your current spouse for at least 9 months, or you were married to or a deceased ex-spouse for at least 10 years, you can collect a surviving spouse benefit. If you have more than one deceased spouse out there, you have an opportunity to pick and choose which benefit you want to collect off of. And there are some really nice strategies available to surviving spouses. There's an opportunity to go back 6 months if you're over your full retirement age. So if your full retirement age is 66 and you're 67, you can go back 6 months to get a nice lump sum check from the Social Security Administration. A common strategy is if we have husband and wife, and maybe the husband was born by 1/1/54, so he'd be into his age 69 at this point. The wife is not yet collecting her benefit. We might suggest to the wife that she file for her own benefits effective 6 months ago. And that might give the husband the opportunity to file a restricted application to claim a benefit off of his wife, also effective 6 months ago. So they'll both get nice lump sum checks from the Social Security Administration. And then when the husband turns age 70, he'll turn his benefits on. He'll get all of those delayed retirement credits. So if you're over full retirement age, there's an opportunity to go back 6 months and get a nice lump sum check. There are some restrictions and other rules, which we're not going to get into right now, but something you always want to think about. And what is your full retirement age, folks? If you're born if you're born in 1960 or later, that's kind of the key nowadays. Your full retirement age is going to be age 67. That's going to be the largest block of folks. I was born in 56, and my full retirement age was 66 and 4 months. So full retirement age will range anywhere from age 66 all the way up to age 67. Jim, if you meet with 10 married couples, how many of them will have one spouse that will still have an age 66 FRA?
Well, at 66, I hardly ever see that. There's a few, because we have people that, if you were born in 1953, you're not yet 70, and a lot of people haven't applied, but one out of 10, maybe one, maybe two, not many at all.
So the biggest block of folks will be those people born in 1960 or later, and their full retirement age will be age 67. We are contributing authors to this mammoth of a book. National Underwriter Company, 2023 Social Security Medicare Facts Book. You can see my name listed down on the bottom of the book, along with Jim's. 1,000 questions, 1,000 pages on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and related topic. If this book is of interest to you, just let us know. You can purchase this book at a 35% discount just by letting them know that you attended this webinar. Just let me know, and I can set you up. We're going to ask you just a few questions. We only have an hour to spend with you, just to get you thinking about Social Security. Jim, go for it.
Yeah, how many years of earnings are included in a benefit calculation? Is it the last 3, 5, or 10 years? Could it be your highest 3, 5, or 10 years? Maybe even be your best 20 quarters, or more likely, is it your highest 35 years of earnings?
In our all-day class, we pick on Harold. He's a party animal that does not give the best advice. At a Super Bowl party, Harold told Darlene Snell from the Ozark Netflix series that she can claim benefits off her ex if married for 7 years. Is this advice correct? Be careful, Harold. Google how Jacob Snell passed away.
The provision impacting public employees who want both a government pension and Social Security benefits based off of their own work record. Are they affected by the government pension offset, the windfall elimination provision, or the public employee Social Security benefit reduction?
Harold married Helen on the field prior to her Cleveland Guardians baseball game 6 months ago. I'm a Cleveland fan. They are both age 62. Harold told Helen to file for benefits off her ex. Is this allowable?
There's a provision allowing an individual to file only for spousal benefits. It is known as, and it's 2 words.
Surviving spouses receive blank percent of a deceased spouse benefit at full retirement age. Is it 25, 30, 75, or 100%?
What is the time limitation to pay back your Social Security benefit and withdraw your application? Do you have 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or maybe 6 years?
Okay, we're not going to go for the rest of our test and knowledge questions, but we have 15 to start off our full day class. Jim, talk about the growth in the program, please. Now, this chart is a little old now because we got new figures a week ago, but we have not updated the slide yet.
And I haven't memorized them, so we'll just go with what's on this slide. You can see that the program has definitely grown over time. 1937 was the first year benefits were paid, and we had 52,000 people receiving benefits, and they received $1,278,000. And I'm sure in 1937, that was still a lot of money. But look at 2021, we now have 65 million beneficiaries, and the amount of money paid out just in 2021 was $1.133 trillion. 2022 would still be over $1 trillion. We're just at that point now. So it's a huge program. A lot of people are receiving benefits, and you can tell that it's definitely grown. Just as an example, since the year 2000, the number of people receiving benefits increased by about 20 million, but the size of the program, the money paid out, way more than doubled. So we're seeing people living longer and longer, and also the benefits paid out are higher and higher. So it's a huge program.
I want to congratulate the Atlanta Braves. They are off to a hot start this year. So good job, folks. Look at the bottom of the slide. Item A, she's my hero. She began benefits in January of 1940 at $22.54 a month. She's my hero because she lived to the ripe old age of 100. So your first lesson of the hour is Social Security will pay you for as long as you're alive. They never call you up and say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, your account is down to 0 and your benefits stop next month. So it's very important to make a wise decision early on. Jim, what's the average death age?
Well, if you make it into your 60s, the average survival rate for a male is about age 84 in a few months. A female in her 60s, it's around age 87. So people are definitely living longer and longer.
But those people have nothing on my good friend Ethel. Ethel, unfortunately, passed away at the age of 107, 2 weeks before she turned 108. So she was receiving benefits for about 40 years when she passed away, probably beginning to receive maybe in her mid-60s. Your clients may be Ethel's, may not be, but you have to plan for your clients to be receiving benefits for 10, 20, or 30 years. About 2 months ago, Cincinnati Enquirer showed an individual who passed away at the age of 952. 952 in the Cincinnati Enquirer. Now, I don't know if there's a typo. I'm going to assume not, but still, your clients may be receiving benefits for a long time. Jim, what's the inflation adjustment folks saw with their January benefit amount?
The highest one we'd seen in about 42 years. It was 8.7%. I have to brag a little bit on myself here. Before they announced it, people were always asking how much will the COLA be for 2023. And I would always say, between 8.5% and 9%. and right in the middle, 8.7. So I'll take credit for that. But that's the highest we'd seen since the early 80s. The year before that, it was 5.9. Again, the highest we'd seen in 40 years. So the last two cost of living adjustments have been pretty high. Now, that said, what's the lowest? Well, you can see them on there. We've had 3 years since this became automatic, and we've been seeing them since 1975. 3 years with no cost of living. Might as well say 4, because 1 year was 0.3%. So it's all based on the Consumer Price Index, the CPIW, which is the spending habits of the urban wage earners and clerical workers. And why do they figure the cost of living adjustment for retired people based on the spending habits of people who work? Well, when they passed the law in 1972, that's what they had. So they used what they had. Will they change it? They might. There's talk, but right now the CPIW is the standard they use. And I've kind of seen it all over the place. We were thinking maybe this coming December, which is technically when it's effective, but people see it in their January check. We were thinking maybe somewhere around 5%. I saw some people suggesting maybe 2%. I don't know about that one. The way things are going, I'm still leaning towards the 5%. So we'll have to wait and see.
Now, I misspoke a little bit. This adjustment was effective with the December benefit, which was received in January. Jim, did you have to be receiving your benefit to receive the 8.7% increase?
Well, it's funny. We didn't get that question when the COLA was 1.3%, but we sure got it when it was 5.9 and definitely 8.7. No, you do not have to have filed for Social Security benefits to have the cost of living adjustments added to your benefit. The year you attain age 62, then you start getting credit for the COLAs, whether you take benefits or not. So they're added into your benefit amount.
Look at some claiming trends. 1996, 56% of men and 63% of women began benefits at age 62. Let's fast forward to 2021. You can see the percentages have dropped considerably since then. 25% for men, 27% for women. Jim, bring out your cloudy crystal ball. 2 questions. What do these figures look like going forward? And will the Braves and Reds and Cincinnati make it to the World Series this year?
Yeah, maybe half of those might make it to the World Series. Not necessarily looking for the Reds. There's always hope, but not expecting it. What will happen with these percentages? It's not that people don't want to retire at 62. I talk to people all the time and ask them, when do you want to retire? And the most popular answer seems to be, well, I want to retire right now, but I can't afford it. So we think they'll probably stay about the same. Maybe the females might increase a wee bit, not much. And that's because as people learn about situational Social Security, and couples should treat their benefits as a household income as opposed to an individual income, we may see some strategies where maybe the female files earlier, takes a reduction in their benefit. That allows the male to wait and maybe receive a higher benefit. And if the male was the higher earner, and statistically they're expected to pass before the female, then the female is going to receive a higher survivor benefit. So there's all sorts of things to take into consideration, but probably around the same.
Jim, just talk briefly about the trust fund.
Yeah, it's easy. It's broke, so there's no money. Okay,
Bankrupt?
there you go. I see that on the internet all the time. That's not true. The Social Security Administration has a surplus of $2.8 trillion, and it's starting to go down. It's been as high as 2.9 trillion, but in 2021 and again in 2022, we've had a deficit. It was $56 billion deficit in 21. And I think if
22.
I remember right, Marc, it was around 22 billion or 25 billion, somewhere around there in 2022. So they are starting to cash in some of those treasury bonds, but they have enough to pay benefits. It projected through about 2034 that with these cost of living adjustments, that might bring it down a little bit, maybe 2033. But right now there is enough money in there to pay full benefits. You can see the way it works. They had receipts of $1,088 billion. 981 billion of that was the FICA tax. 37 billion was the income tax people pay on their Social Security benefits. So when people complain about paying tax on their Social Security, just remind them it helps make the program more solvent, and that always makes them feel good about paying taxes. Yeah, right. Nobody's ever happy about paying taxes. And then they've received about 70 billion in interest on those treasury bonds. Well, in 2021, they actually had expenditures of $1,144 billion, 56 billion in the hole. By law, the Social Security Administration cannot operate in the red, so they had to cash in some of those treasury bonds, and so that lowered it a little bit. That's where the problem's going to be, because if you notice, the FICA tax and income tax amounts, it's not enough to cover all the expenditures that Social Security owes. And when that money is gone and there's no more interest coming in, that's when Social Security is going to have an issue. That's around 2034, 2035.
So how do you maximize your Social Security benefits? Well, number 6 on this list, the smiling faces, the local office, they're basically just order takers. They'll take your application, but don't expect them to give you or your clients any advice. So you need to help your clients to make a plan to understand and to maximize their Social Security benefits. You need to remember that Social Security may very well be a joint lifetime benefit. Generally, upon the passing of the husband, the wife will step into his shoes. If he took benefits early, that reduction may last 2 lifetimes, whereby if he waits all the way up to age 70, that increase may last 2 lifetimes also. We look at the family unit when looking at Social Security strategies for clients, not individual husband or wife. Number 4 stands for Situational Social Security. Can your clients file that restricted application? Are they single, married? Are they surviving spouses? Are there kids involved? Are your clients divorced? How do you coordinate spousal benefits? This is what we think. This is what we call thinking outside the box. Also, advisors must understand how to ask those probing Social Security questions to get more money out of the Social Security system. So situational Social Security is a term that Jim and I came up with. I'm going to say, Jim, 5 years ago, maybe. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's been
and it just fits. It just does fit. Of course, now that we came up with situational Social Security, Jim, I hear about situational football, situational basketball, situational baseball. This situational all across this country, I've noticed. But the only one we care about is situational Social Security. Jim, let's talk about that restricted app. Will you explain it, please?
Well, the restricted app is when someone who was born by January 1st, 1954, there's still folks that have not yet reached age 70. That'll happen in December of this year. But those folks born by that day can, instead of filing for their own retirement benefit, can file for a spousal benefit off of their spouse's work record. In that situation, their own Social Security benefit will grow by what we call delayed retirement credits. That's that 8% a year increase someone earns by waiting from full retirement age to take past full retirement age to take their Social Security benefit, and you can wait all the way to age 70. And in the meantime, though, you can draw a spousal benefit off of your spouse's work record. It doesn't hurt their benefit any. They still draw the same amount of money. It doesn't hurt your benefit at age 70. So it's as close to free money as you'll ever find, which I guess is why they took it away from us. But the restricted application allows you to earn your delayed retirement credits, but still have money coming in. The key is your spouse has to be receiving their own retirement. You can't draw a spousal benefit off someone's work record unless they have filed for and are receiving their own Social Security retirement benefit. But if you run into a couple that has that situation, or maybe both haven't applied yet, so we could look at the one spouse, normally the lower earner, going ahead and filing for benefits, and the higher earner filing the restricted application. It's definitely something they should consider. And we'll have that with us through the balance of this year.
So if you're meeting with clients that were born by that magic birthday to 1/1/54, then please consider the restricted application. By the end of 2023, the percentage of your clients that can still file their restricted application will be down to 0. So take advantage of it while it's still around. Jim, 70 million folks have online accounts. Do you?
I do. I
What's
think
the
you do too.
What's that?
I think you do as well.
Yes, I do. What's the benefit of an online account? What can people see in it?
Well, first of all, if you're not receiving Social Security benefits, you can file for or go, once you create your account, you can look at your Social Security benefit statement whenever you need to. They used to mail them out to everybody 3 months before their birthday. Now they only mail them out to people age 60 or older each year. And even with that, I talked to a lot of people. Some people receive them, some people don't. And if you create the account, you definitely won't, but you can still look at the benefit statement whenever you want. And it's the benefit statement you're going to use to try to determine how much you're going to receive in Social Security. So it's a great planning tool to determine at least the Social Security part of your income and retirement. If you have clients already receiving Social Security, it's still a good idea to have the account. They can change their address, change their bank account information if they need to. They can get a benefit verification letter if they need proof of income for whatever reason. If they lost or never received their 1099, and we all know, it's April. So what's coming up pretty soon? That old tax crunch is coming up. And if someone says, I can't find my 1099, if you got the account, you can go on and print it up. So a lot of good information, whether you're receiving benefits or not.
Got it. Thank you, Jim. And in order to file for benefits online, you need to have an online account anyways. So encourage all of your clients to create an online account. It's about a 10 to 15 minute process. Doesn't take long at all. I'm not going to talk about who qualifies for benefits. We just don't have time. This will show you your full retirement age depending on when you were born. You can see the largest block of folks born in 1960 or later. Their full retirement age is age 67. Jim, what's the significance of full retirement age?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, full retirement age is when you receive 100% of your, what Social Security calls a PIA, primary insurance amount. When they calculate your benefit and come up with the number that you're eligible for, that's your PIA. And at full retirement age, you receive 100% of that. It's the number they're going to use to determine how much of a reduction you're going to take if you file for benefits before your full retirement age, or how big of an increase you're going to receive at age 70 or some point after full retirement age. That's when you start earning the delayed retirement credits. The other thing that it does is it ends what we call the annual earnings test. So if someone is receiving Social Security benefits who is under their full retirement age and they still want to work and have earnings, that work and earnings can affect the amount of benefits that Social Security is going to pay them. It can reduce some or maybe all of their Social Security benefits. This is separate from taxes. This is the earnings test. And the month you reach full retirement age, that goes away.
Jim, what's the earnings test? 21,240?
21,240. If you go over that, and it's earned income, so it doesn't include pensions or IRA draws, that type of thing. But if you work for someone or you're self-employed, if you earn over $21,240, for every $2 you go over that amount, they'll hold back $1 of your benefits.
Okay. We're not going to talk in any detail about the annual earnings test. That would take us all the way until the top of the hour. But just so you know, if you take a benefit and you're receiving a benefit prior to reaching full retirement age, then the annual earnings test will apply to you. Jim, so how do we calculate benefits? Last 3, 5, or 10 years, highest 3, 5, or 10, best 20 quarters. Any thoughts?
It's got to be that best 20 quarters, right?
I thought so.
Absolutely not. Right. It's your highest 35 years of earnings. Now, they do index a lot of those earnings for inflation. Any earnings up through the year you attain age 59, they'll apply an inflation factor to those years. Starting with the year you turn 60, they don't apply an inflation factor, but they'll still count those in the computation of your benefit. And they're going to pick your highest 35 years of earnings to compute the benefit. What if you don't have 35 years? They still use that. They would use some 0 years in there, but it's your highest 35 years of indexed earnings.
And usually the return on investment for paying additional FICA taxes is generally very low. However, though, if you are meeting with a client that stay home with kids and they have, let's say, 10 years of work and 25 years of zeros out there, anytime you can replace a 0 year with something positive, it will have a decent impact to your Social Security benefits. So just give some strong thought about how additional earnings and work and the payment of FICA taxes, how that will impact future Social Security benefits. This slide might be the most important slide of all. When can you wake up, roll out of bed, and see the money in your bank account? Well, it depends on the date you were born. Born between the 1st and the 10th of the month, your money will be deposited in your bank account the 2nd Wednesday of the month. Born between the 11th to the 20th, the 3rd Wednesday. Born between the 21st to the end of the month, the 4th Wednesday. So I was born on February 13th. I receive my benefit the 3rd Wednesday of each month. And believe me, folks, I'm so excited when the 3rd Wednesday of each month comes along because I get my benefit paid to me. Jim was born on the 14th of the month. You don't get your benefit paid to you on the 3rd Wednesday. You get your benefit paid to you when?
I get mine on the, actually, it's normally the 3rd Monday. So why do I get mine 2 days early? Well, it's my bank, my credit union. They give me the money when they receive it. So your bank gets it early, but they're not supposed to pay it to you and put it in your account until the following Wednesday. But I'm special. I get mine on Monday.
I'd like to ask you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of good content to LinkedIn, questions, videos, updates on Social Security. So go to your LinkedIn profile, send me a connection request, Marc with a C, Kiner, Kiner, and I will accept the request. So I appreciate you doing that. So if you're full retirement age is 67 and you decide to claim at age 62, you will receive 70% of your benefits. That's 70. Jim, if somebody claims early, does the benefit go up to 100% upon reaching their full retirement age? Harold told me yes.
Yeah, that would be nice, but no, it does not. You know, technically, the way it's supposed to work, if you take benefits at 62, then you receive a reduction, but you're supposed to still receive the same amount of money on average, whether you took it at 62, full retirement age, or 70. Well, the problem with that is since they came up with that, and I don't know when it was before I ever started working there, life expectancies have increased. They haven't adjusted really anything. And so now just average life expectancies, you will not receive the same amount of money at 62 versus full retirement age or age 70. It just depends on how long you live, how good of a deal it is. But who wants you to file at age 62? The government does. And if the government wants you to do something, you know whose advantage that is for. So you definitely take a reduction, and that reduction is permanent, sticks with you the rest of your life.
Thank you, Jim. If you wait beyond full retirement age, you'll get delayed retirement credits. Basically 8% per year, which is the same as saying 2/3 of 1% per month. So if your full retirement age is 66 and you wait to age 70, your benefit will go up 32%. Full retirement age is 67 and you wait to age 70, now your benefit has gone up 24%. So if I had waited to begin my benefits until July of 2022, that's 1 month beyond my full retirement age, I would have received delayed retirement credits of 2/3 of 1% per month. Now, those DRCs you get are permanent. They're going to be paid to you for the rest of your life. And if anybody's collecting off you when you're gone, like a spouse, that person will get more for the rest of their life also.
And we have a question, Mark, and I think
Go
this
for
is a good spot for that.
Okay.
Question says, I had a client who started to take their benefits during COVID. They changed their mind and stopped it. And they wanted to wait till age 70. A year later, they received a lump sum check. How does this impact the overall benefit? Well, what that does is any month that Social Security paid him a benefit, he doesn't earn a delayed retirement credit for that. So he would have lost that 2/3 of 1% for each month that lump sum covered. And so he won't be able to get, if he waits till 70, he won't get the full increase based on the DRCs, just based on the number of months he didn't actually receive a check for.
Thank you. Any other questions you want to answer now, Jim?
That's the only one I see on there. So
one more question. Two more.
There it is. Looks like delayed retirement credits do not increase as full retirement ages have increased.
Correct. They end at age 70. That's what you're saying. So
yeah,
that is correct. Another one, if you're married and take SS before full retirement age, make less than 22,000 self-employment earnings, but spouse makes 200,000. So the annual earnings test is based on individual earnings and not joint earnings. Taxation of benefits is based on joint earnings. If you file a joint tax return with the spouse, but the annual earnings test is based on individual earnings. Okay, so let's have some fun. Let's assume I'm married. That will probably never happen again because every year I buy my girlfriend the new edition of the Social Security book that Jim and I are contributing authors to, and I go through girlfriends like knife goes through butter. Jim has been married to his high school sweetheart 53 years. Jim, how many times have you bought Pat that book?
That would be 0. Now, sometimes you can see those books in my camera. I've got them, but I don't give them to my wife because she might hit me with it.
Okay. So let's have some fun. Let's assume I'm married. For my wife to collect the spousal benefit off my work record, she must be I was going to say she must be single. That's another slide. She must be at least age 62. I must be receiving a benefit, folks. So if I delayed till age 70, that would delay a spousal benefit payable to my spouse. So my spouse must be at least age 62, and I must be receiving a Social Security benefit. That could either be a retirement or a disability benefit. So the question is, folks, do I collect at my full retirement age, at which time my wife can collect off me, or do I wait to age 70, maximizing those delayed retirement credits? That's a good discussion to have with your clients. Jim, talk about divorced folks, please.
Well, divorced folks are eligible for benefits if they meet the requirement. First of all, you have to draw as a divorced spouse, you have to be single. You have to be at least age 62. You had to be married to your ex for 10 years or more. And this is continuous. The only exception to that is if you're divorced in 1 year, if you remarry the same person by the end of the following year, they'll disregard the divorce. So basically it's 10 continuous years of marriage, and your ex has to be receiving their retirement or a disability benefit for you to draw off of their work record. Now, there is another category of divorced spouses called independently entitled divorced spouse. And this allows you to draw if your ex isn't receiving on their work record yet. So to meet these requirements, now both of you must be at least age 62. You still have to be single. You still had to be married for those 10 years, and you have to be divorced for 2 years or more. Then it doesn't matter if your ex is drawing benefits or not. If you're eligible on their work record, you can file and receive those benefits.
1 second, folks. Just deleting a few questions here. Now, what if you have three, more than one ex-spouse? Let's say I've got three: Betty, Amber, and Chloe. I'm the higher earner. They could all draw off me at the same time. Let's say I'm the lower earner. Betty turns 62 first. I collect off Betty. 2 years later, Amber turns 62. Benefit off Amber is higher. I can switch. And then let's say 2 years later, Chloe turns 62. My benefit off Chloe could be higher. I can switch again. So as my ex-spouses turn age 62, I can switch from one ex to the other as long as my benefit off the new ex-spouse turning age 62 is higher. Jim, how much is the spousal benefit? I forgot to mention what the percentage is.
Yeah, spousal benefit is 50%. Now that's 50% of the number holders' full retirement age benefit, that PIA. Doesn't matter if they take it early or wait till age 70. It's based off of 50% of their benefit at their full retirement age.
Thank you. So if my PIA from retirement age benefit is $2,000, my wife gets $1,000 at her full retirement age. If she claims early, before full retirement age, reduced for age, and if she decides to claim at her full retirement age, she'll get the total of $1,000. So surviving spouses, if somebody waits until age 70 and they pass away, their surviving spouse will receive what they were receiving or eligible to receive at death. So usually the wife will collect a surviving spouse benefit. And so when the husband passes away, she is eligible to receive off of his record 100% of what he was receiving or eligible to receive when he passed away. A surviving spouse can take the surviving spouse benefit as early as age 60. It's reduced down to 71.5%. But surviving spouses have some options that other folks may not have due to a little-known provision called deemed filing, which is beyond the scope of our webinar today. But let's just say surviving spouses can take their own benefit. They can take off of their deceased spouse, and they have options that relate to both types of benefits. But what you need to know is the surviving spouse is eligible to receive what the deceased was receiving at death or what the deceased was eligible to receive. So if the deceased passed away at 69, not receiving a benefit, surviving spouse is eligible to receive whatever the amount was that the deceased was entitled to receive when he or she passed away. We've got 4 three-legged stools we want to go over, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what we do, because I know we're running a little, we've got about 12 minutes to go. Continue to type in your questions, please. We always like answering questions. So if this is the three-legged stool for a married couple. We have one spouse waiting beyond full retirement age, maybe all the way up to age 70 to collect their benefits. Jim, Harold told me about 95% of folks wait to age 70. Is that correct? Or is he a little on the low side?
He's a little off there. It's somewhere between 5 to 7%.
Okay. It's a little, yeah, it's not as high as 95%. So leg number 1 leads us into leg number 3, where we want to maximize surviving spouse benefits. Leg number 2 is coordinated spousal benefits and situational Social Security. Does the higher earner claim at 66, their full retirement age, so a spousal benefit is payable then? Or does the higher earner wait until age 70, whereby a spousal benefit is payable at that point? So Jim, talk about single folks, please.
Yeah, remember they have options. They can file at 62, full retirement age, or 70. They need to keep in mind if they're going to file before full retirement age that they're subject to that earnings test. If they earn over the $21,240, Social Security is going to withhold $1 benefits for every 2 they go over. At full retirement age, they don't have to worry about that. But do they wait till 70? Well, if they're still working and don't need the money, that might be something that they think about. But then they also need to remember that death will end those benefits. Now, what if you find out after you pass away that you can take it with you? Then you might be a little upset. But, I'm thinking probably that's not the case. So they just need to take that into consideration. Do I wait till 70? Well, even as a single person, if everybody in my family lives into their upper 90s, that could make some sense. But there's never any guarantee. You never know what's coming your way. So it's just something that the individual has to think about.
Next slide has to do with divorced folks. You can collect off your ex if they're alive or deceased. Must be married to your ex for at least 10 years. Jim talked about that earlier. And if you've been divorced for less than 2 years, your ex must be receiving a benefit. If you've been divorced for 2 years or longer, that requirement goes away.
Now, Mark mentioned the survivors having different options. Someone with a deceased spouse in their past, you can take those deceased spouse benefits, your widows and widowers benefit, as early as age 60. You could, if it's higher, switch to your own at 62, wait till full retirement age, or even wait till age 70. Or you can take your own at 62 and take the survivor benefit at your full retirement age. Of course, earnings test applies to these benefits as well. So that's something for the folks to take into consideration. But what it allows these folks to do is maybe take a lower benefit in the beginning to get the higher benefit later. And that higher benefit is the one they're likely to receive for a longer period of time. So they do have those options that other folks don't have.
So I want to talk a little bit about what we do, and then I'm going to go back to talk about WIP and GPO. And plus, ask us questions, folks, as we go along. So what do? We provide a couple services. I see it's not on this slide. Sorry about that. Consulting. So when advisors are meeting with clients and questions come up about Social Security, we can help and review their options with your clients. Our fee to do that is about $550. That includes a written report prepared by the big guy, Jim Blair. Also includes a consultation with Jim, and also filing for benefits online. So we help all of our clients file for benefits online. We also educate advisors across the country, increasing their value to clients. And we focus on situational Social Security and how to ask those probing Social Security questions. As you probably know, we offer the National Social Security Advisor Certificate. We offer our education 3 ways. Live in-person classes. Join us in Columbus, Chicago, Dallas this year. Sorry, we're not going, and Louisville. We were in Atlanta a while ago, but we haven't been there in a couple of years. We'll get back there again, I'm sure. We also offer live webinars, so you can just be with us on a specific day and ask us questions. We also have taped on-demand videos. The tuition for the webinars and on-demand videos is $795, and it includes support, folks. So you can call me with questions. You can access our monthly webinars. You can also attend our Social Security open forums. This is our website to get more information about the NSSA program. That's www.premiernssa.com. That's premiernssa.com. I see a couple of you did connect with me on LinkedIn, but I'd like to encourage more of you to do that because I provide a lot of good information. We offer really good support. You can call me with questions anytime you want, almost anytime. I don't pick up the phone past 2:00 in the afternoon. It's my nap time. Also, we offer monthly update webinars and also Social Security open forums. We do provide a discount for your chapter. It would be a $50 discount off of the live webinar and off of the on-demand, just enter the discount code FPA ATL. So FPA ATL, I have to write it down. No, Georgia. GA, Georgia. So just enter the discount code of FPA GA, and you'll save $50 off of the live webinar on demand. And if you want to take a live in-person class, we offer a $100 discount there. Just reach out to me and I'll give you the discount code for the live webinar, for the live in-person class. So this is how to connect with me. You send me an email, mkiner@mypremierplan.com, and or just give me a buzz, 513-218-8505. Okay, now I want to go back to some stuff we haven't talked about yet. Jim, let's talk about how do you apply for benefits. We have about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's the easiest way is if you have your online account, you can file on the Social Security website, file an online application for retirement benefits, spousal benefits, disability benefits. Can't file for children or for the survivor benefits, but the others you can. But you have to have created that online account. It's called My Social Security. And you go to ssa.gov.gov and create the account. If you don't want to do that, or you just don't want to apply online, you can call the Social Security 800 number. That's 772-1213. And you can make an appointment. They'll ask for your zip code and make the appointment with your local office. You can make an appointment to either walk in and file the application in person, or they'll call you and do it over the phone. Or some offices still allow you to walk in the Social Security office. I'm not going to tell you which ones those are because I don't know. But a lot of them don't, but some of them still do. So you do have that option as well.
Now, briefly, 1 minute here. If you're a public employee, so you work with the state, local, or county government, or a federal employee is hired before 1984, you can be subject to the windfall elimination provision, or what we call the grumpy partner offset, GPO, grumpy partner. So if you're eligible for your own Social Security benefit and a public employee pension, you're subject to WEP, and your benefit may be, your Social Security benefit may be reduced by as much as $558 a month. You will receive something off your own work record. It will not be zeroed out. So if you're eligible for your own Social Security benefit and a government pension, you will get something. However, though, if you're eligible for a government pension and you're looking for a Social Security benefit off of a spouse, then the grumpy partner offset applies. You reduce what you can get off your spouse by 2/3 of your state pension, leaving nothing left over generally. So if you're looking to collect a Social Security benefit off of a spouse, grumpy partner offset will reduce that down to 0. But if you're looking to collect a Social Security benefit off your own work record, you will get something. All right, we are done talking. Jim, why don't you handle whatever's in the chat?
Well, last I looked, there wasn't anything. So
I see something. Do we need to do anything special for CE? Anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Jim and I definitely enjoyed our discussion. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Kathy Ford. Kathy?
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Jim. Thanks to everyone who connected with us today. Look for an event survey, the webinar replay, and a PowerPoint to follow. Thanks so much. Have a great evening.
Bye, everybody.
bye.